Yeah, what is up? Pleased to meet you. Nice to know me. It is the one and only, the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. You are checking out an all new the RCWR Show. We are coming at you live right now for January 30th, 2018. YouTube, Spreaker. What's going on, guys? Hey, look, we got to bring in our Facebook audience. Yeah, I know, man. It's like getting real tedious now, but we got to bring in our Facebook audience. Let's sync them in here. All right, let's see if we can sync them in here. Yeah, there we go. Now we got everybody. Pleased to meet you. Nice to know me. You are checking out an all new the RCWR show covering the very latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond with great guests since 2011. We're coming at you live right now for January 30th, 2018, streaming live right now on Facebook, Spreaker, and on YouTube. I'm on all those platforms, including Twitter. Get at me. I'm at the RCWR Show. Not really too much has gone down since last we were on the air, but hey, man, I do want to take this time out to say a big, big, big thank you to those of you that had checked out the solid weekend of content I had put out for you guys. I mean, everything had pretty much kicked off with NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. Then less than 24 hours after that, we had the Royal Rumble. And I don't know about you guys, Raw was a little bit of a disappointment. And I think those of us that have been watching Raw for a long period of time, we know the patterns by now. Like, it's pretty much, okay, that's great that we got all this going down on the pay-per-view, right? But like less than 24 hours when we go into Monday Night Raw and we go into that week's SmackDown, all the cool stuff that we're seeing, people we ain't never seen before, people we ain't seen in years, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be there. So, I mean, for me, we'll get to the polling results in just a second because there was a lot of you guys that had cast your votes with regards to Royal Rumble and with regards to Raw. So we'll tackle all that in a hot second. But yeah, a lot of great content. I was actually checking out the numbers literally later today, just combining everything we've been doing with the audio podcast and then streaming on Facebook and YouTube. And I tell you, I've really been impressed with the numbers. The way it's looking right now, we told you guys that we were going to be doing this live webcast on a test run for 10 episodes, so basically 10 weeks. And I tell you, I like the minimal growth that I'm continuing to see. Obviously, we're touching a core base, which is great. And we'll see how it goes. But I mean, the impressions I'm kind of getting right now is this could be a permanent thing, so we could just go on ahead and maybe extend it for some more episodes. We'll see, but I was adding up the overall for January, and I love it. I really, really love it, man. So get at me, man. I'm all over the place. We got chat rooms all over. Take your freaking pick. Make sure you give me those thumbs up, though. That's very important because of reach, analytics. So you like me, all that good stuff. I hope you like me. I like you, especially my longtime listeners. I definitely like you. Give me the thumbs up, the likes, the hearts, smiley faces. Most importantly, if you haven't done so, subscribe, all that good jazz, man. I hope your week is off to a good start. Hump Day is around the corner. I don't know how about you guys, but quite honestly, I'm not trying to hear the president speak right now. It's nothing personal. It's just we've been coming on at this time every Tuesday night for the past couple of years now, almost since the show's inception back in 2011. We've been coming on Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock. So for me, I didn't even watch the first hour of the president's speech. I don't know about you guys. Maybe some of you all are like me. You got it on the DVR. You're gonna pretty much put a nightcap on things to your day, and maybe you'll watch it, go to sleep to it. That's what I plan on doing after I get done with the stream here. But I'm hoping it's good. I'm actually looking forward to it, man. I'm actually looking forward to it. So yes, on Facebook, Aaron, no need to say it twice, man. I see the hi to everybody. I'm not gonna be singling out individuals because we're live. So it's interact with me on some of the stuff I'm gonna be talking about. Let's have at it, man. All right. So I told you guys how much I had enjoyed the Royal Rumble, right? And we polled you guys. We asked you all straight up, what did you think of the Royal Rumble? Let's go to the results right now. I mean, the final tally, as far as how it's looking right now, we have, again, we're looking on YouTube. So far, we have about 75% or 75 votes, rather, I should say, coming in. We have 8% of you that gave the Royal Rumble a thumbs down. Meanwhile, we have 24% of you that are giving it a staying in the middle, and we have a 68% of you that are giving it a thumbs up. Now, for those of you that might be like, well, what about on Twitter, Lee? How's that kind of looking? On Twitter, let's see if I even got it out there. I want to say I did, but let's see. I want to say it is there. I just got to scroll a little bit more. Here we go, guys. I got it. We have 158 votes via Twitter with about 3 days left in the voting. We have 16% of you that are staying in the middle. 19% of you are giving it a thumbs down, and a overwhelming 65% of you are giving it a thumbs up. So a little bit of a mirror image, so to speak. I told you guys, and I know I had a couple of drinks. I remember I had said that a couple of times during the Royal Rumble stream. I do remember, though, I had said to you all that if I had the opportunity to watch the Royal Rumble again in its entirety, that for sure for me, it was one of those Royal Rumbles that I can remember in recent years that was like really freaking awesome. Like it was just slam dunk from pre-show all the way to the main event match. Like I thought it was a really good card overall. And I actually did watch it in its entirety a second time. I wasn't able to really sit down and watch it in just one sitting like I did the first run, but I was able to get through it all for a second time in breaks. And I still feel the same way that I laid it out on the after show. I thought overall it was still a good event. Now, one thing, couple of things that kind of jumped out at me, and I totally had missed it when it came to Braun Strowman, Kane, and Brock Lesnar. I so missed the stiff shot to the face that Braun had did to Lesnar. Basically, it was like what a knee striker or something like that to Lesnar's face, and then pretty much Brock would follow up a little while later and like legitimately punch Braun Strowman like on the temple, basically like damn near knocking the guy's head off his freaking shoulders. And look, I gotta tell you, from what everybody has been saying about Brock Lesnar. Brock is one of those type of guys. He is physical. He is extremely aggressive. You need to bring all that and more when you have a match against Brock Lesnar. You got to make sure that you are freaking bringing it. And if you are like unintentionally physically aggressive with him, he's kind of like that big kid that's going to be like, oh, so you want to play like that, huh? Okay, I'll match you. All right, but not only am I going to match you, but like I'm just going to come at you full strength. And if you can hang with it, that's great. If not, like, hey, you shouldn't be jumping out there like that. And I saw the clips. First of all, when I watched it the second time, because I missed it the first time, because you all had kind of pointed that out to me. And when I watched it, I'm like, holy crap. And then when I was able to hop online and just watch them kind of like almost side by side, just those clips by themselves, it was like, wow. And then to hear basically Lesnar say to Braun something along the lines of, slow the F down, you're kind of going, whoo, Brock telling it like it is. So for me, honestly, I know we had some people that's kind of like, oh, what Lesnar had did to Braun, that was totally unprofessional. It was classless. It was tasteless. No, on the contrary. I mean, when you look at how long, as far as the dominance that Brock Lesnar has been a draw, whether it's in the WWE or it is in the UFC, this man, with all of his wrestling background, we all know that this man is capable of so much more than what we have been seeing of him with his second rodeo round with the WWE, right? But when you get right down to it, he is now at that stage in his life where pretty much he can command the type of salary that he's able to command because of everything that he was able to do in the past and what he's able to continue to do at present. So, keeping all of that in mind, one could kind of make the argument that Lesnar is now just resting on his laurels, that he's just resting on past accomplishments. And it's like, all thing I need to do is the minimal. Like, I've been there, I've done that. I made a ton of freaking money wherever I was, and like, follow my lead, and like, we're gonna be good. We're gonna make some good money. We're gonna be in a good spotlight, and we're gonna be able to go home to our respected loved ones in one piece, right? So for me, the way I perceived Lesnar doing that spot that he did with Braun, I didn't look at it as a sign of disrespect whatsoever. Honestly, Brock comes off to me like one of those type of guys that if you can't legitimately take a hit from him, and you see how big of a man Braun Strowman is, Brock just comes off like one of those type of guys. Wait a minute, you're trying to tell me that you can't take a freaking punch to the face? What do you got all that height, weight, and muscle for? What are you, a punk bitch? He just comes off to me legitimately like that. And he is, in his own right, a legitimate badass. So for me, I didn't look at it unprofessional in any type of way. I didn't look at it tacky. I just basically looked at it as Brock Lesnar is trying to slow this kid down, because maybe, Lesnar been there. He was one of the youngest champions at one point. So he knows what it's like to be in that position where everything is kind of coming at you like way too fast, right? So he legitimately could have just been like, Braun, you got to slow down, man. And that's pretty much the way that he was able to translate that. Now, stop and think about it for a second. What is Lesnar supposed to do once he takes the shot to his head by Strowman? What is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to yell out an audible like John Cena? How John Cena will usually get somebody in a headlock or whatever, and he's just is Lesnar supposed to do something like that? No, Lesnar is going to do it the best way that Lesnar knows how, based upon the way he's booked. And honestly, I had no problem with how he executed it, quite honestly. One thing that I did kind of take note of this second go round, and that's the fact that Lesnar showed up to like one of the, out of the big four, what is without a doubt the second most important pay-per-view for the WWE, it being the Royal Rumble. He showed up somewhat out of shape. I mean, when you go back and you look at when he made his triumphant return to the UFC, the guy was in beast mode, Incredible Hulk freaking shape. I mean, this guy looked like you don't want to meet this guy down the street. I don't care if it's 9 o'clock at night or if it's 3 in the afternoon. If you're walking down the street and you see this guy coming ahead, like, you want to go jaywalk across the street and maybe catch a cab if necessary. That's how bad you want to like dodge this dude, right? But like, I must admit, when I saw this dude show up at the Royal Rumble, I didn't really notice it the first go round. I kind of was like, he looks a little bit out of shape. And when I say out of shape, I don't mean he was fat. I don't mean he was obese, but he looked as though he just took a break from working out. And I don't know if that's because of the health condition that he's been battling over the years. I don't know if it's a case where he's trying to manage that, or maybe he suffered some type of a recent injury or what, but he just looked to be very out of shape. The conditioning physically, he just did not look like Brock Lesnar. He did not look like the beast incarnate, right? He didn't look like the next big thing. He didn't look like that. He just kind of looked like some guy that just, I hope come WrestleMania time, he's in better shape, but I'm not going to hold my breath because when you're being paid like what, almost 15, 16, 17 million dollars, and you're only working like, God, don't even ask me to put a number out there. I swear it's a low ball number of dates that he's doing. It kind of feels like maybe somewhere between 30 to 60 dates at most. That's what it kind of feels like. It might even be lesser than that. But like, and I'm telling you straight up, I am jumping out there. I feel in my heart of hearts that when it is time to renegotiate with Brock Lesnar, WWE is going to be like, okay, you know what? These arrangements we've been doing with you these past couple of years, like, hey, it's been great. You've been making us some decent money and everything, but like, we need a little bit more out of you. I mean, Brock Lesnar is just, sooner or later, WWE is going to have to really, really take a step back and ask themselves, is it really worth it? Is he really that like commanding, right? Like, does he really warrant that type of salary a year? Like, why give him that when you can divide that money up with a couple of other guys that you could bring up on the roster, maybe even some marquee names, mind you, and it can pretty much equal one guy, in this case, Brock Lesnar. So WWE's got some really, I won't say tough decisions, because this should be a rather easy decision to make. Now, granted, the Brock Lesnar that we got a couple of years back, I mean, he was good. He was good, but honestly, what's been happening with him as of late, and look, it's not Brock Lesnar's fault. I want to make sure that I set the record straight. It is not Brock Lesnar's fault that he's getting paid like 15, 16, 17 million dollars a year, and he's only working a small handful of dates out of the year. That's not his fault. You got to blame the freaking team that has sat down with Brock Lesnar and pretty much has structured that deal. You got to blame them, because in the long haul, it really hasn't done any type of good whatsoever. All right. I have been saying it for the past couple of years now, almost even as far back. And I know I was saying it as far back with my old broadcast partner, the evil genius of professional wrestling, Titus Machiavelli. Shout out to my buddy, by the way. I remember saying way back then that the way WWE needed to try to get this guy, the way they needed to try to book him, was basically book him like a champion from the old territory days. Like, have him come in on a weekend or whatever, shoot a bunch of stuff, just pre-record a bunch of stuff that you could basically stretch out over the course of several weeks. That way, when Brock finally did come to whatever city or whatever, you had sold a lot more tickets, and you also put yourself in a position where, okay, well, look, Brock's in town. Look at what he's going to be able to bring. And whoever Brock is supposed to be working with, now you've had those X amount of days, weeks, trying to establish whoever that number one contender is that's going to be facing off against Lesnar. I have always been a firm believer in them going back to the old territory days, just to try to balance things out for when Lesnar is not there. It kind of seems like when I look at last year going into this year, they've tried to do a little bit more, but it's not to the extent, for those that remember the old NWA, AWA territory days. It's nothing compared to how they would do it back then. So WWE is in a unique position. Like, if they want to continue to give Brock Lesnar all of this money, okay, that's great. But obviously, you need a little bit more. You got to get more dates out of the guy. And if the man isn't going to give you more dates, then at that point, you have a tough decision to make. I mean, hell, you can at least balance out Lesnar not working any more dates by having him contribute more original and unique content to the WWE network. I mean, if there was ever a reason, I mean, if I'm working in the PR department and all that, and I'm trying to figure out ways to increase viewership, increase ad revenue for the WWE network, I mean, to be in a position where you could maybe tap into Brock Lesnar a little bit more. I'm not saying like you got to have Brock Lesnar on some show every single week or whatever like that, but I mean, just offhand, I can think of another type of Stone Cold podcast interview that you could do with the guy. I could think of uh 24, what is it, WWE 24/7 original that you could do on Brock Lesnar. I could think of, and I think this is long overdue. It's about time to do a new Brock Lesnar documentary. And I know everybody's like, oh, but they kind of updated the next big thing that came out. It's really time for just a straight up new joint. There's so much stuff that you can do with Brock Lesnar that honestly, you can do it in a way where you stretch it out and just do that one thing per quarter, and then maybe you can also include him. I know WWE is taking like a back seat this year as far as DVD releases, Blu-ray releases, but that's another market that you can tap into, right? So it can only go well if WWE makes it well. That's the whole point that I'm saying to you guys. Another thing with regards to the Royal Rumble. Okay, so it didn't really sink in until I get it the second go round. But to see Asuka in this very unique position where, okay, which belt is she going after? Is she going after Charlotte for her belt, or is she going after Alexa Bliss and her title? Like which title is Asuka going to go for? And like what should be a really great crowning moment, because this is the first ever women's Royal Rumble, right? What was honestly a great night. And you have this moment where the winner is trying to figure out which championship she's going to go for. You have Ronda Rousey. Now, look, I'm just saying from a booking and a creative standpoint, if you ask me straight up, now that a little bit of time has passed, if that was a smart move and having Ronda come out like that, I would say to you guys, it was a little bit disrespectful. It was, from a booking standpoint, it was. And look, don't take my word for it. I mean, I'll jump out there and I'll let you guys know straight up. Some of my colleagues, I've even mainly heard from listeners that were either at the event themselves, or it was listeners and or fans that were at the event themselves, and people that were watching it themselves in the privacy of their own home, like you and I were doing, that basically were like, no, this moment, for all the historical purposes, everything that was put into it, like this is supposed to be about the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble. And in this case, Asuka. This is about a very important decision. This is about setting the tone for one half of the WrestleMania title matches, right? Like we already know who's going to be doing whatever on the SmackDown side of things. Raw got to figure theirs out, right? We see Asuka, she wins, and it's kind of like, oh man, damn, like, whoo, now what? So I did kind of feel like it diminished a little bit that moment. I also felt that, now look, the fact that it went down after the Royal Rumble match had concluded, I mean, on the one hand, you're kind of like, okay, that's great. That's a great little spot right there. But to have Ronda come out at that moment afterwards, and all she kept doing was pointing at the damn sign, not uttering a word, just pointing, right? You're kind of going, now, do I be that same guy that said, hey, it'd be great if when Ronda comes into the WWE, you could have a situation occur where maybe it could be Asuka taking on Ronda Rousey. Yeah, I still would love to see that. If it's written just right, it's booked just well, I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. But to have her come out, like I said, not to beat the horse to death, it just kind of felt like it diminished the moment and what was very historical. On the flip side to that, I can't help but be amazed at the decent amount of people that felt that with all the legends of yesterday, and I'm talking about the real legends. I'm not talking about Kelly, Michelle McCool. They're not legends, sadly. Okay, I know in the minds of other people, but you kind of gotta have to, you kind of gotta have to really take a step back, and you gotta be like, okay, let's really be on the real tip. They aren't legends, okay? Lita, Trish Stratus, Jacqueline, Tori Wilson. Not so much from the wrestling standpoint, but Tori Wilson, she definitely was a draw when she was in the WWE. But you get the point that I'm making, which is I was quite amazed at how many people did not like seeing all of those women from yesterday participate in this women's rumble. And I'm kind of going, no, my friends, even more the reason why that these women needed to be involved. I mean, really stop and think for a second. Just really stop and think for a second. Think about if you're one of those people that felt like they shouldn't have been in that match. Just stop and hear me out for a second and think about this. Consider this. If it was, and listen to this in its entirety. If it was 1999, or let's just say if it was 2003, and all of these women that you had saw from yesterday that participated in the Rumble, if it was, just say right now, it's 2003, and you had the first ever women's Royal Rumble match, and you have the women from yesterday that, okay, they're in this match. The women that's all currently on the roster, they all would be in that match as well, right? Without a doubt. So fast forward a little bit. For some of these women, it's been a couple of years since they wrestled full time at that in a WWE ring. Okay. Now, I can understand it if it was a situation where these women that you had saw, if it was a situation where, my God, these women that are coming now, man, they're in their late 50s, 60s. What the hell is going on here, man? Why are we seeing all of these old women? Now, I don't like saying old women. I don't like saying that because the way I was brought up, that's just disrespectful. You don't call a woman old. You never say that. No matter no matter how far up that age gets, you never call a woman old. It's just disrespectful. But if you want to talk about, let's really be honest. If you want to talk about who was probably the oldest woman that had participated in the women's rumble, it was Jacqueline. Jacqueline just turned 54 like a couple of weeks ago to kick off January. Okay. So, I mean, and she looks to be in phenomenal shape. I bet now that I have put her age out there, for those of you that didn't even look her up, you're not familiar with her, you didn't even look up her age. To hear me say that she's 54, that probably had took a lot of you guys by surprise. I bet a lot of you all probably thought maybe she was in her early 40s because Jacqueline has always done a really good job maintaining really good health, staying fit, staying very active. She is a lot smaller. She's the smallest I've seen her in her whole career because she's always been a muscular, chiseled, kind of well defined, not like a ridiculous bodybuilder type of physique, but you could definitely tell, oh wow, she's been working out. Like, yeah, don't mess with her because she might kick your butt. But for me, all of these women, they moved on to different things in their lives. They had like different career paths and whatnot. Like they decided, okay, you know what? I kind of need to make the transition out of wrestling. And for some, they decided, okay, it's time to start a family. For others, it was, okay, I want to get into a completely different career path because I kind of think I reached the limit with pro wrestling. And you can't fault them for that. But like the old saying, once a wrestler, always a wrestler. And for a lot of the women that we had got that, popped up in this, a lot of them were either in their late 30s, early 40s. And like I said, Jacqueline was in her, mid 50s, give or take. I'm like, if you can still get in there and throw it down, like, why not? And if anything was a little bit disheartening to me was the wrestling fans that were complaining about seeing all of these old women from yesterday. And it's kind of like, you know what it reminded me of, in all honesty, guys? It reminded me so much about the second job that I did have in security, and how like half of the damn staff, no, all of the damn staff members, they all like loved wrestling. That was like the main theme. Like everybody that was hired from the big bosses, it was like if you didn't like wrestling, they 9 times out of 10 you probably weren't going to get a job, because they were the type of guys that love to try to get together, watch wrestling, place bets, maybe try to go to events together, things of that nature. Okay, so like you would talk to any one of these people, right? And like they knew any and everything about the WWE current product. But the minute that you started saying Percy Pringle, Brother Love, Jim Cornette, they looked at you like, huh? Or you go Mr. Fuji, you go Sergeant Slaughter, like they don't know none of that. Sensational Sherry, Luna Vachon, none of that. Miss Elizabeth, none of that. Psycho Sid. I mean, I'd be here all night and they would just look at you with the most blank face that's humanly possible. Like you're talking a completely different language and they don't really care to try to understand what the hell you're saying. That's how they would basically come out at you. Okay. And I can't tell you how nerve-wracking that is to come across somebody that is supposedly a wrestling fan that has no knowledge nor shows the will and the desire, the passion to want to try to understand wrestling from yesteryear. And, sometimes in order to really appreciate like what you have with today's wrestling product, sometimes you have to kind of go a few years back and be like, so this is how kind of like the evolution got to where it is right now. So for me to hear these people that were complaining about all these old women that were in this match, it's not like these women, and this is the other thing. Really stop and think about it for a second. All your favorite female wrestlers, for the most part, that you see on SmackDown and Raw every single week participated in this event. Unless it was a situation where maybe they were suspended or they had an injury like Paige, all your favorite girls that you watch on Raw and SmackDown every single week, they participated in this event. So it wasn't like, oh man, these, man, because Trish Stratus had participated, man, I didn't get to see Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott didn't even have a dark match. She was just on the sidelines watching the Women's Royal Rumble match. What the hell, man? It wasn't anything like that. It's so much different than how it was in the past. Remember how collectively a lot of fans, a lot of radio personality, broadcasters, including myself, a couple of years back were like, hey, we need to toss the bone more to the youngins. Why we got all these old heads coming in, replacing these young cat spots? Here we had the perfect balance. All the stars that you root or boo for each week were all representing in the Women's Royal Rumble, but you had a nod to yesterday. Thus, you lose even more focus of the fact that when this women's revolution thing had storyline wise even began a couple of years back, there was always that nod to where it was before. There was always that nod to the fabulous Mulan, to the Mae Young, to um, Alondra Blaze. You know, hell, you can even put Bertha Faye in there. I thought she was kind of good for the most part. Luna Vachon, Sensational Sherry, who doesn't get enough credit in the world. She was actually a pretty damn good wrestler. Don't believe me? Go check out some of her stuff online. But like, you go from that era, and then you pretty much go to bra and panties matches, and then you go to divas, and then you go to where we are now, where it's like, okay, they are just women. Oh no, correction. Now they're just superstars. They're just like the men. Now they're superstars. So there was always that nod of an appreciation for the past. So to the wrestling fans that felt the way that they felt, first of all, I'm legitimately sorry that you felt the way that you felt. But I hope that after the points that I made, you kind of kick back and go, okay, you know what? He made some pretty valid points, and I promise you, 9 times out of 10, these people that are saying these things, maybe it's a situation where they didn't grow up on any of these girls, or they legitimately just kind of feel like, hey man, they're yesterday's news. Like all the women that they brought back, to some degree, they had marquee. They had value. They had good value. They were bringing in some decent money for the company with like just their name alone, their name, their likeliness, all that. So, I find it interesting that we're in this position that we're in. I kind of got a brain fart just now because I had just realized that there is some important documents that I need. And sadly, I need them for the freaking show. I wish we could take a commercial break right now, but we're like doing the live freaking webcast right now. So, well, you know what? Actually, I think I might have an idea. I think I might have an idea here. Let me try something, guys. I think what we're gonna have to do, because I actually wanted to get into this tonight. It has to do with Enzo, and there are some important documents that I need. So let's see if maybe the little lady can make a cameo for me here, and hopefully she'll pick up. If she does pick up, I'm just gonna ask her if she can slide the documents under the door, and we'll see what we can do. And she's not picking up. She's probably knocked out. We'll see. We'll see if we can get her here. I don't know, guys. I need those documents too. It had to do with freaking Enzo. I guess I could. I guess I could get up and get them. Let me try calling her one more time. I'm sorry, guys. Like I gotta have those documents. We'll try one more time. See here. We'll try one more time. Nope. 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 Okay. No. Gonna be flying solo tonight. All right. So we'll improvise. We'll see what we can do. All right. So let's continue on. So key points from Monday's WWE Raw SmackDown. I saw the latest Raw number that had came out. Pretty interesting. I see that they pretty much had dropped in viewership by like 25%. Go figure. You'd be amazed. And I use a couple of different forum names when I visit wrestling forums and all that. And I thought it was pretty interesting how everybody was like, man, it was like my first time watching Raw in a couple of years. Or some people were like, man, this was the first time that I watched Raw in like a couple of months. And Raw 25 had really brought me in. And then I wanted to see the Rumble. And, you know, I was done after that because I kind of like there was no reason to check out the Monday afterwards. But I tell you what, for those that maybe did not check out the product in a while and they saw what they had saw with Raw 25, they had watched the Royal Rumble, and they were like, okay, I'm gonna tune in to Monday Night Raw. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I predict that this week's viewership slash rating, when you fast forward to next Monday, I predict it's going to be even lower for the simple fact. Now, rewind a little bit. Last Monday did what, like 4.200 something million viewers, right? And this past Monday's post Royal Rumble edition, that did like what, guys? That did like about 3 point, kind of want to say like maybe 3.5 something, maybe million viewers or something like that. They said it was down by like 25 points. Okay, I'm predicting it's going to go even lower than that. I have a feeling that the people that had watched Raw 25 and then especially those that like watched the Royal Rumble, they probably were like, "Oh man, look at all of these cool people." Like, "Oh wow." And then they tune into Monday Night Raw expecting to see all of those people there, and they don't get them. They don't get them. So I have a feeling that by next Monday, it's going to go down even more because now that everybody watched this past Mondays and it's like, oh, hey, the people that I thought I was going to be seeing from the Royal Rumble on Raw, they're not here. Well, there's no point in me watching this. I guess they just showed up for the Rumble and that's it. I bet you there was a lot of people that had probably tuned in to Raw this week expecting to see Rey Mysterio. And they're like, "Hey, no Ray Ray. What the hell?" Now, some maybe had watched SmackDown too, just to try to see like if maybe some of those people that they saw at the Royal Rumble was going to show up there as well. But no, no. And as far as any key points that I want to get into from Raw and SmackDown, well, I see on the SmackDown side of things because SmackDown had went off the air not too long ago. I see on that side of the coin, we basically had got Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens following up with Shane and Daniel Bryan. Hey, you got to give us one more shot at that WWE championship. Like you saw what had happened to us at the pay-per-view. You got to give us one more shot, man. Like, come on, don't do us like this. And in this case, they were talking to Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan's like, yeah, I had saw what happened. Yeah, clear as day. I saw, but you got to understand that the referee's decision, it's final. And the referee thought that he saw a legit tag, obviously from the referee's angle. The referee had thought one way, but that wasn't the case. Yeah, we'll go on ahead. We'll give you guys another shot. We'll give you one more shot. Here's the thing, though. That shot that you're going to be getting, well, next week, it's going to be Kevin versus Sami. And the winner of that is pretty much going to go on to face AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. I believe that's going to be going down at the Fastlane pay-per-view. I want to say, if I heard it right, at Fastlane. So you're kind of like, whoa. So yeah, now you can't help but wonder if maybe this was Daniel Bryan's plan, like all along. Like if he was just so freaking methodical that like he knew exactly what it would possibly take to break up Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, get them fighting each other. You can't help but wonder if like that was his plan all along. And I'm really hoping that storyline wise, a situation can occur where Daniel Bryan and Shane O'Mac, they have a moment and Shane can basically be like, dude, was this your plan all along? Because if so, like, it's freaking ingenious. And maybe Daniel Bryan will be like, yeah, it was. And you pretty much go from there. But at the same time, wouldn't that kind of like put a bookmark and like boom, that's over? Wouldn't that kind of wrap up whatever thing was going on between Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon? I mean, if you really kind of stop and think about it, they were kind of going back and forth these past couple of months, and it kind of seemed as though maybe everything was going to culminate in something possibly at Mania. So sadly, if you do go in that direction where Daniel Bryan had an agenda the whole time, he just wanted to go about it a little bit more professionally and try to really go at it from a mental standpoint, whereas Shane is going off of emotion and he's going off of adrenaline slash aggression. Like, storyline wise, if that's the direction that they're gonna go with Daniel Bryan, just this was the plan the whole time. I would like to think that's it for whatever potential feud or program or whatever was possibly going to be going down with DB and Shane O'Mac. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out over the course of the next couple of weeks. Want to take this time out. Thank you guys that's checking out the stream right now. Remember, if you're having a good time, give me those thumbs up. Make sure you like, comment, share, and do subscribe. Hey, I got an important poll that is up right now on YouTube. It is on the communities tab section. So just head on over to the YouTube page, click on that bad boy, click on community. And there is a really good question that I put out there. All right. So here's the deal. I am thinking about launching a store on Pro Wrestling Tees. And the thing is, I don't want to launch a store on Pro Wrestling Tees if legitimately we do not have X amount of people that's trying to like buy shirts from the store. Okay, so the poll that I have up right now is basically asking you guys straight up, be honest. If I decided to launch a store at Pro Wrestling Tees, would you legitimately come out of your pocket and buy some shirts? And you've got some really good options. I try to put in as many options as possible without really spamming it to death to really get a gauge on where everybody is. So your options you have, yes, I would regularly buy RCWR show shirts and other goodies. The next option you have, no, I would not because money is too tight. You have no, even if I had the money, I wouldn't buy a shirt. That pretty much just lets me know you're not interested in, because look at it like this. If you like the show, you get the t-shirt, merchandise, all that. You're basically representing the show. You're part of the RCWR Nation. You're helping spread the good word about the show, man. Like when it's all said and done, and you get something pretty cool in the process. And all proceeds that kick in, like those go right back out to whether it's trying to purchase wrestling DVDs or something wrestling related. Everybody will win in the end because the money's going right back out into covering whatever, right? Whatever is wrestling related, entertainment, sports related, whatnot. All right. So our next option we have, yes, I would buy, but only once in a blue moon. And I ran out of space, but I was trying to say, and depending on the design. So that should read, yes, I would buy only once in a blue moon and depending on design. And then the last option, which I really think is kind of cool, is yes, but only if we have a say in future designs, we can pitch ideas. So there's a lot of cool options that's there. So it's up to you guys to really go out of your way and cast your vote. Like I said, you don't have to spam this like, oh, I really want to see a store open up. You don't have to spam it. Just do one vote, however you feel, and we'll pretty much go from there. This will be open all the way until February 28th. That's how long I'm gonna let this stay active. So I'll definitely be promoting it for the next couple of weeks. Just to give you guys a heads up. I mean, we're really gonna kind of be reiterating this until then, just in case we get newer listeners and all that. But I think it's really good that I get a really good gauge on where you guys are. That way I can figure out whether or not we need to launch a store or not. Now, on the good note, the way it's looking right now, we meet the minimum criteria to be able to launch a store because sadly for some podcasters, some radio personalities, they aren't able to launch a store because they don't even have anywhere near the minimum criteria of followers, subscribers, downloads, etc., to even warrant having a store. So, we met that quota a long time ago. It's just one of those type of deals I've been asked off and on over the years. Lee, why don't you open up a pro wrestling tee store? And it's kind of like, I just don't have the need for it. Love everything from the guys. I just don't have a need for it. And now I've kind of like, you know what? Maybe now the timing is right to go ahead and launch a store. So cast your vote, and thank you all for casting your vote. And who knows? I mean, honestly, if all the votes, just fast forward in a little bit. I'm just saying, we'll take it as it comes. But like, if a situation occurs where like we fast forward, February 28th comes, I'm tallying up the votes, and it's like, okay, everybody wants to see a store. Great. Then if everything goes right, I'll work on having shirt designs and all that like right before WrestleMania, because the goal would then be to have the store launch like mid-March or whatever, like maybe during like the final week in March. It would definitely be ready in time for Mania, because 9 times out of 10 there would probably be some type of a discount that's going on. So it would be a good time to launch it basically. So, we're kind of going back and forth, but I mean, we're talking about SmackDown. I mean, that's, really the highlight. And then, of course, we see that next Tuesday, that's going to be interesting because Rusev had won the right to face Bobby Roode for the United States Championship. I'm actually looking forward to that. Yeah, we had like some type of, I don't know if it was a fatal four-way or what that we had going on earlier tonight on SmackDown, because I was kind of like in and out, just getting ready for the show for you guys. But I saw that Rusev had won the match, and I'm kind of going, okay, Rusev, Bobby Roode, okay, yeah, this should be pretty good. So Roode's going to be defending the United States title next Tuesday against Rusev. I'm actually looking forward to that one. We had saw Baron Corbin defeat Ty Dillinger. That was actually a pretty damn good matchup. Usos, they cut one hell of a good promo. I mean, anybody that has been like a longtime Usos fan, let me tell you straight up, man, of all the promos that I've seen Usos give over the years, that promo that they had gave tonight on SmackDown was on fire. That thing was lit. So good. So much energy. So much passion. And their chemistry together when they're just going back and forth, like, I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. And they basically had put like the entire tag team just in WWE as a whole on notice, saying like, y'all can't see us. And they just started naming everybody that has been put in the Usos penitentiary. And it's like, yeah, you guys can't touch us. Like, there's no tag team. And you're kind of hearing that. You're going, what a great time it would be right now for the Authors of Pain to come on now. Because I so was expecting that. But no, we did not get the Authors of Pain. Instead, what we had got was freaking, who was it? Freaking Harper and Rowan. I can't tell you how much of a letdown that was for me. I did not like seeing that whatsoever. It's kind of like, wouldn't you like a piece of steak? Yeah. You sure you want a piece of yeah. All right, well, you want a piece of steak? Nice and well done? Yeah, hell yeah. How about some mashed potatoes? The nice creamy kind that has milk and it has salt, pepper. It's made from scratch. Yeah. And how would you like some nice, delicious corn on the cob? Has that nice butter just dripping. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we don't have that. So instead, you got to eat this can of spam. That's how it felt. It felt like we basically had got a consolation prize. And I don't know about you guys, but as soon as I heard that freaking music for Harper and Rowan, I just kind of I felt like wah, wah, wah. That's just literally how it felt. So if I am supposed to be ecstatic over the fact that the Usos are now gonna potentially be in a program against Harper, Rowan, the Boring Brothers. I know they're under a different name, but I'm sorry. They're the Boring Brothers for me. Nothing personal. I'm just not feeling the gimmick. I'm not feeling the gimmick. Speaking of not taking it personal, let me go back to Raw. It's a point I'm making here. It's kind of a good segue. So we see that another inductee has been announced for this year's WWE Hall of Fame. And it looks like it is going to be the Dudley Boyz. Oh, my brother, testify. Brother Devon, Bubba Ray Dudley, Bully Ray. They're going to be taking their rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. Let me tell you, man, I've got a lot of fond memories of the WWE. I'm sorry, I got a little bit distracted there. I have a lot of fond memories, I was trying to say, of the Dudley Boyz. Sadly, when it came to their run in ECW, I didn't really get a chance to see ECW first run. It was pretty much a situation where, like, I'll be honest, unless I was able to catch some stuff online, like maybe somebody uploaded some stuff on YouTube, Daily Motion or whatever, or unless it was like on a VHS tape, I didn't really know anything about it, sadly. I know that, like, but that's how it kind of was for like a lot of us. And don't even get me started on, well, what about ECW on pay-per-view? My mom, I vividly remember, was a big fan of wrestling. And I remember, like, when I started to kind of catch on to what ECW was about and everything, I want to say there was a friend that maybe had let me borrow a ECW tape of a pay-per-view that they had recorded. And I thought for sure, like, my mom's going to love this. You know, she's going to dig it. Now, I had already seen a little something, but like, this was like, okay, you know, now I'm seeing something on pay-per-view. And I remember my mom watched it and she was like, no, you can't watch that. You can watch WCW, you can watch WWF, but ECW, no, that's too violent. No, you can't watch it. You know, that's like aimed more towards adults. I don't know what adults would watch this because it's disgusting. I don't like it. It's not wrestling, but no, you can't watch ECW. True story. And it was kind of like, okay. So I didn't, sadly, I didn't really get that appreciation for what the Dudleys were doing in ECW. But I do remember when they came to the WWE, and I remember vintage Bubba Ray Dudley, who had the whole stuttering thing that was going on, the stuttering gimmick. And I remember how he would like cream his pants when he would put divas through tables. I mean, take your pick. Stacy Keibler, Lita, Trish Stratus, Mae Young, just to name a few. I mean, there was a period where Bubba Ray creamed his pants, putting women through tables. And I can tell you, when we first saw them in the WWE and they were doing that back then, just to rewind it back, to go to school the next day and be like, damn, did you see what the Dudleys did to Mae Young? It's like, man, they powerball her through the table, man. Like, what the hell? And it was just like, you got to see it. You got to see it. And yeah, everybody that was into the Attitude Era back then, everybody that was watching back then, called the WWF, watching Raw, you're like, what they did what to who? No, I gotta see that. You got it on tape. And back then that's what we were doing, man. Like we were still taping Raw, so it was like, yeah, here you go, check it out, check it out. I mean, great moments, great feuding that they had going on. I remember when they had did that weak alliance angle. Remember that? Yeah, I really, I didn't really particularly care for that one. All the great matches, though, man. Take your pick, whether it was against Edge and Christian or it was against the Hardys. Infamous table matches, ladder matches. I mean, we'd be here all night, man. I mean, without a shadow of doubt, they have contributed so much to the business. I remember their run in Impact Wrestling. I was actually a little bit saddened when things didn't quite work out with them continuing on with the WWE, because I always kind of had the impression that they were WWE guys for life, that they weren't going anywhere. They weren't going to go work for another promotion. I was definitely saddened when they rolled out. And at the same time, I was happy to be seeing them on my TV again when they would begin to work with TNA. And of all the people that has had, what's the right word I'm looking for, that has come through TNA over the years, nothing was more of, no pun intended, an impact that made it interesting to watch Impact than when the Dudleys were working with them. And they worked with them for a couple of years. And the timing of them in Impact, it was right. They came in at a really good time, especially when you look back at who all was part of the roster back then. I mean, it was star freaking studded back then. Even when you go up to that infamous run that they had with what was it, Aces and Eights. I know some people like really crapped on that, especially, oh my God, don't even get me started. Like, we got to remember when Bully Ray married the Hulkster's daughter. Oh, yes, yes. That for me was like one of the most infamous moments in Impact history. I loved it. I know some people had crapped on that one episode of Impact Wrestling where Bully Ray basically walked you through like the entire episode, letting you know how everything had came together with Aces and Eights and how he was able to like pull the strings and all that. And I saw decent potential in Aces and Eights. Now, and I'll never forget this, there were some veteran podcasters and broadcasters that covered wrestling that were like, man, the fact that they had to take a whole 2-hour show to explain to you how Aces and Eights came to fruition and how like all along Bully Ray was right there stringing it together. They basically were like, that's like the dumbest freaking booking. That's like the silliest, stupidest thing that's ever been done in wrestling. I can't really speak on where my mindset was back then, because back then we did Impact Showdown like at that point, it was definitely every Thursday night. Like as soon as Impact went off the air, I was live on the air. I was talking about Impact. And I want to say that back then, fresh off of that Aces and Eights edition with Bully Ray just connecting all the dots, I want to say I was like, hey, it was a pretty good episode. It was kind of like a little bit of a nice departure from what you would normally get from a wrestling show. And I know some people really didn't like it. They didn't like the whole Aces and Eights. I kind of was one of those guys. Well, I kind of like stuff a little bit different. And I mean, it was definitely obvious that Eric Bischoff had loved him some Sons of Anarchy, because I remember way back then, Bischoff let it be no secret, like every single week he was watching Sons of Anarchy on FX, and that is how he got the inspiration behind Aces and Eights. But like still, and also Bully Ray would have never happened if Bully, aka Bubba Ray, Devon, did not come to TNA.
Bully Ray would have never happened. And that's the God's to honest truth. This guy started taking a really good hard look at himself in the mirror and saying, okay, you know what? I've been doing this for X amount of years, but I'm kind of now at that point in my life where it's time, like it been time to try and reinvent myself. Okay, what better time and place than now? And he just started to lose all of that body fat. He started packing on serious muscle. I mean, his calves were the best part. I mean, I liked his arms, but I also liked his calves. He had some really good, strong calves. And I actually remember when he was in Impact at one point, he was like, "Look at my calves. Look at my calves. They're so strong. They can squeeze your head off or whatever." Like that. I remember he was going around doing that back then. You guys probably remember that. But no, he like really took a good, hard look at himself in the mirror and was like, okay, it's time to reinvent myself. And that was one of the most revigorating moments when I look back on Dudley Boyz, that particular moment. I look back on that and I go, wow, here's a guy that really dedicated himself. Devon, always a great mind, always a great appreciation for the business. Every time, whether you checked out shoot interviews or you listen to podcast interviews, and whenever the name Devon would pop up, everybody, nothing but high praise, nothing but like class. Now, look, we all could be in agreement. We've heard things about the Dudleys over the years. And even Bully to an extent, even he's been like, yeah, I can be a bit of a hard ass. I can be a little bit of a dick, but we know all the stuff that's been said about the guys over the years, how Devon really easy to work with, very easy to get along with, true professional. Bully Ray, on the other hand, he can be a dick. He can be extremely difficult. He can be a prima donna, stuck in his own world, and everything is like, it's like you gotta like kiss his ass basically if you're trying to do business with him. That's just some of the things that has been put out there over the years. Those aren't my words. They're not my words. I'm only echoing and repeating basically what many have said about both men over the years. A lot of people, hey, Devon, great guy. Bully Ray, asshole, right? I mean, if we were to poll you guys, you all would like that know your Dudleys well, you'd be saying the same goddamn thing. So, for me, just everything that they've been able to do respectfully in the business, about damn time that they get their just due. Now, if you ask me who I would personally like to see induct the Dudleys into the Hall of Fame, I know everybody was hearing about the whole Paul Heyman inducting Goldberg. I hope that does not happen. Instead, I hope that Paul Heyman inducts the Dudleys. And if it's not going to be Paul Heyman, I hope that it's going to be ECW, co-founder and all that. I hope it's going to be Todd Gordon. I would love it if it was Todd freaking Gordon. If it's not going to be Todd Gordon, then I would really love it if it was Tommy Dreamer. But it's got to be one of those three guys, because I'm picturing like, who else could it possibly be? I just gave you guys three really good freaking names that freaking sweat and bleed ECW, especially during that time when the Dudleys were there. And I also just gave you three guys that, well, with the exception of Todd Gordon, right? To an extent, I gave you guys that also worked with the Dudleys in the WWE. That's the main point I'm bringing up. That's why I was like, you kind of got to take Todd out of there. But still, I hope that one of those three gets the nod. And you probably had noticed the title of this episode while we're talking about Bully Ray. And for those of you that, I don't know, maybe you didn't pay attention to it and you're listening to the audio live right now and or on demand, and you see that it basically says, Bubba Ray Dudley, you all right in my book. Well, here's the story behind that. So literally yesterday, I'm kicking back, I'm watching Monday Night Raw. And when I see the Hall of Fame induction announcement, now keep in mind, I had already knew, like many of you, about the induction because, like, if you're on Twitter or Facebook, like that's how you hear about it. And if you have the WWE network on your phone or whatever, you get the notification and you're like, oh, there's a WWE notification. What's this about? Oh, the Dudleys. Hey, great. So I kick back. I'm waiting like you all. I want to see the video package and all that. I want to see that Kevin Dunn production thing, right? So we get that. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I'm excited. All right. So they're joining Goldberg. They're going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. All right. This is great. And right after they show the video package, I immediately, I'm on Twitter. I'm interacting with you guys every Monday night now. I'm free again now that I'm like away from that second job. Like, thank God. So now I'm back Monday nights. I'm interacting with you all during Raw. So as soon as the video package was like done, I come on back. I get on Twitter, and I at Testify Devon, and I'm trying to at Bully Ray, and I'm not able to find Bully Ray. I'm like, wait a minute, I know his Twitter handle. Like, where the hell is this guy? So I'm digging, I'm digging, and I find out Bully Ray blocked the RCWR show on Twitter. And I'm going, whoa, like, what the hell? And I'm saying to myself, okay, like, what did I say about Bully Ray that maybe was offensive? Maybe was like, maybe could be interpreted as, oh man, that kind of came off unprofessional. Like, what the hell? And one of the first things that I did, I just typed in the RCWR show Bubba Ray or RCWR show Bully Ray. And I only saw but like maybe 5, maybe 6 items that had popped up. None of them, to my knowledge, because I didn't click on the audio. I just like looked at the thumbnails and it kind of jogged my memory that way. And I'm going, well, I didn't say anything bad about Bully Ray on those. Like, what the hell? And the only thing I could think of that would warrant Bully Ray to block the RCWR show. I can't believe I have to tell this story again. I'll give you the, but you guys will like it. It's actually pretty freaking hilarious. So, a couple of years back when I was doing Impact Showdown regularly, there was one episode where Angelina Love and Velvet Sky, they came into the ring, and I tell you, Velvet Sky's attire that night, I still stand behind it. I'm sorry. I know it's been a couple of years, and I know this is what had did it. I know it. I basically had looked at the outfit and I tweeted out, and I don't even think I said at Velvet. If I did, I mean, my God, it was just a harmless joke. But I basically had said, my God, what's going on with the attire? It looks like freaking Big Bird had got ran over by a rainbow truck because her attire was just like all over the freaking place or whatever. And put that out there, and that was the end of it. And I was following Velvet Sky. And then, like a couple of weeks after that or whatever, next thing I know, Velvet Sky had blocked the RCWR show. So it's kind of like, whoa, we're rolling like that. Okay, all right then. Bully Ray, I was able to follow him from that point like forward for like a couple of years. So I'm under the impression that Bully Ray, I want to say Bully Ray blocked the show sometime in 2017. And if I were to like really pinpoint it, I would say it was kind of like recent. I would have to say that Bully Ray, maybe he did it. I know he had that serious spot that went down at the wrestling event he was in some months back, and basically they were saying he's probably going to have to retire or whatnot. But I remember, I want to say at least around September October, I actually was still able to see and read Bully's tweets. Now, look, I'm just telling you guys the story. All right. I think it makes good, for airtime. All right. If you ask me honestly, if I give a flying fuck if Bully Ray, Velvet Sky had blocked me, I really don't care. If anything, I like to understand the reasoning why, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Life goes on. At the end of the day, now what I will say is at the end of the day, and I say this to anybody, and you longtime listeners know this, you know how passionate I am about this, you know what I'm about to say. Whatever I say at the end of the day, just like Kevin Nash says it best, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. And whatever I may say on my show, it is not official. It is not the be all end all. I am not God. What I say is not law. A lot of you all, especially you longtime listeners, you know that when you listen to my show, I do my very best to try to be as unbiased as possible. And I try to present whatever has come about in the crazy world of wrestling, entertainment, pop culture news. I try to give it to you in the most balanced way humanly possible. That way, when you walk away from my show, you kind of go in a few different angles and you're left to pretty much go in your own respected conclusion, in your own respected direction, right? So, to that, to one Velvet, to one Bully Ray, hey, you guys are all right in my book. All right. I'm not like some of these other guys that, fucking Bully Ray, fucking piece of shit. He don't know how to wrestle worth a goddamn. The only thing that makes him good is putting people through tables. And he's got a hot girlfriend. She needs to get with a real man and dump that fat fuck. I'm sorry. I've never talked that way on my show in all the years that I've been on. And honestly, my challenge to Bully Ray, my challenge to his girlfriend, Velvet Sky, that's if they're still together. I don't know. I really don't care. It's none of my business. But my challenge to both of them is, and see, this isn't a situation where come on my show and no. It's not even one of those type of deals. If you ask me what I want, and the invitation stands, and the invitation is, I would love it if one of them or both of them were to send me a private message and be like, hey, this is why we have blocked you. It's because blah, 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 blah. And, at least that way I kind of know what's going on. And, I can officially like, okay, well, hey, I'm sorry you took it that way, but, hey, I apologize. But if they don't want to do that, I hope that at least they find this well. Again, Bully Ray, Velvet, hey, y'all all right in my book. I don't know why you blocked me. Or you didn't block me because, that's a personal thing. You blocked the show. So you blocked the show. That lets me know that something I said you didn't like. And I tell you, as long as I have been a broadcaster, a uh, a podcaster, because we're getting up there now. We're slowly making our strides. The show has been making its growth over the years. I mean, we're now getting to that point where, and I can't thank you guys tremendously enough because honestly, with all the downloads, with the viewership, the guests that we've been able to bring off and on over the years, we finally were able to take the show on the road. And we had covered Washington, D.C.'s Awesome Con event at the convention center. And like we did such a great job there. It was a great learning curve. It was like, okay, here's what to do, here's what not to do. And like our fingers are crossed, we kind of are getting the vibe that we're going to be invited to be part of the press again to cover the event. We'll know in mid-February the official word. But like we're getting to that point now where we're starting to take the show on the road and everything. And like I tell you, I've always been humble. I've never forgotten the early beginnings of the show. And I try to do my best to not be mean spirited, not be an asshole, even though some people may feel that, you're kind of being a little bit of a dick. The only time I act like a dick is when I get somebody that, like, and that's why you always hear me say, treat people the way you want to be treated. Like, I try to treat people with respect. And when I feel that like I'm being disrespected, like if I didn't call you an idiot, if I didn't call you a jackass, if I didn't call you stupid, if I didn't call you a dumb motherfucker, then it's kind of like, why are you saying that to me if I haven't said that to you? And for me, it's just like treat people how you want to be treated. You try to treat people with respect. So each time I come on the airwaves, I always try to be respectful of, first of all, you all that take the time out to welcome me into, whether you're at work, at home, your mind, your ears. And then secondly, I try to do my very best to be a professional as much as humanly possible. For me, this is not a case of me being some guy that is in front of a microphone just talking and then I go subscribe. No, 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 no. You're talking to somebody that sacrifices time with friends and family, that is constantly doing some type of research. I'm a sports fanatic. I'm an entertainment fanatic. So certain things I got to be in on the stuff because I got to be talking about it with you guys, right? Especially if it's a case where like, hey, I'm interested in getting this guest. All right, we got to get ready for him. We got to prep for him. All right, let's have it. So, for me, it's always a joy when I do this show. And I know in my heart that like sometimes I'm going to say something that is not popular. Sometimes I am going to say something that, oh man, well, why did he say that about so and so? And, guys like Bully Ray, Velvet Sky, Seth Rollins, Shawn Michaels, I'm not going to apologize for speaking what I feel is in my heart, what I feel is the truth. I'm not going to shy away from that. At the same time, if I do issue an apology, I will issue an apology for, hey, I'm sorry if you maybe took that really to heart, but you're kind of you're blowing it up way out of proportion, is my message. So, I've learned over the years that when you do this, um, there is no right thing that you can say. There is always going to be somebody out there that doesn't like what you say, how you say it, right down to how you look, quite honestly. And to that, you just got to be like, no limits. I'm going to keep doing me. All right. I'm not going to be able to please everybody. And see, that's the thing. Listeners don't like when when a radio show host is always kissing somebody's ass. Okay. Now, what the hell am I supposed to say if I see somebody in an ugly ass outfit? What am I supposed to say? Oh, you look marvelous. You look marvelous. No, that's not being honest. Now, if it's a 5-year-old kid, that's, that's a kid. Like that whole Tom Brady situation. I know you guys had heard about that. So let me see if I got this straight. We get this dumbass dude, Alex, whatever. He's not even the radio host. He's not even a co-host. He's just like basically a lackey. He's basically a sidekick. And he comes on, what is it? WEEI radio. He comes on there, what was it, last Thursday? And I forgot the name of the show that he came on, but like it's a show that every single Monday Tom Brady for the past couple of years has been appearing on. And like for the 5 to 10 minutes that he's on there, he is giving, from what everybody has been saying in the Boston area that listens to it, he's giving them some really good, insightful stuff. I mean, like when you compare it to what he does after a press conference, Tom Brady is like giving short answers. He is like, he's not really trying to talk, basically. But when he gets on the WEEI show, he is being very insightful. He's being candid. And I mean, that's understandable because he's getting some decent money. He's getting some decent money for like 5-10 minutes of an interview every Monday night. So pretty much he's appearing for 17 weeks, 20 if they go to the playoffs and they go to the damn Super Bowl. He's getting some good money off of that. So they're talking about this whole Tom versus Time documentary, little mini documentary series that's being put out there on Facebook. And the very first episode, these guys are talking about it, and this Alex dude is basically asked, yeah, hey, what did you think of it? And like the first thing you notice out of this guy's mouth is he comes off like he really doesn't particularly care for Tom Brady, that he didn't particularly care for the documentary. He just kind of gave off that vibe like, I really don't want to talk about this, so can we move on to something else? Because I want to move on to some more exciting topics. That's legitimately how he came off. I know the vibe very well. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation with whoever my co-host is at the time, and there's a particular subject that I want to get into, but I know it's a subject that they don't really want to get into because either they don't have enough knowledge to speak on the subject, and or it's a situation where, yeah, they know about it, they know everything that happened, they know all the fine details, but they want to shy away from it. It doesn't particularly interest them. So since it does not interest them, that's something that they want to bypass. And this guy legitimately came off like, I don't care for this documentary. I don't actually particularly care for Tom Brady, all this ass kissing. Let's move on to something else. Now, you know what? If that's how he feels, then that's how he feels. But to say what he said about Tom Brady's daughter being a peasant, being an annoying little peasant, I'm sorry, what do you expect? I mean, and this guy's like, I think in his early 20s, maybe, late 20s, early 30s or whatever. So he still has his whole broadcasting career ahead of him. Okay. And I couldn't help but kind of say to myself, now, I mean, you guys need to really feel me on this one. I've had the luxury of interviewing so many people over the years, so many people that would take time out of their schedule and set up an interview with me. I can't tell you how many times over the years I have tried to do my very best to go above and beyond being professional with the guests I've been able to get to come on my show. Respect on all levels. Respect. Even if that guest says something during the interview of which I do not like, that is their time. Probably the only time I will like, wait a minute now, is if it's a situation where a guest is directly being disrespectful to me, whether it's, they're doing name calling or they're belittling me, they're belittling you, the listeners, they're putting insults out there. And, knock on wood, all the people that have come by the show, never has a situation like that come about. Now, have I had my issues with some guests? Yes. You all know about the infamous Jake Roberts. Y'all know about the infamous Austin Kong. Y'all know about the infamous Taylor Hendricks joint. There's, you even know a little bit about Matt Stryker, but there's been others that I have not mentioned on air because it has no business taking place on air. That's just something that directly involves me, that guest, and Tammy, who sometimes will act as a buffer. She'll sometimes be like, hey, who would you like to get on the show? And I'll throw some names at her, and she works her magic because, her old job that she did a couple of years back, she worked in public affairs. She was a public relations specialist. So, it was her job to, connect with certain people. So she would do what she needed to do. Her business was knowing X amount of people in the right places. So, I mean, for me, it's always respect your guests. And to say that the kid was an annoying little peasant, it's like, dude, at some point you were a freaking kid, man. Like, you probably got on your parents' nerves. And you know what? Your parents had probably called you that. But guess what? Let somebody else call you that. Your parents are going to be right there saying, hey, don't call my kid that. That's my kid. Only I can call my kid that. You ain't got no authority calling my kid that. And to hear Tom Brady, I heard the audio. And look, I heard the context. I listened to the audio. I heard the context in which the guy had said it. And it was just kind of like one of those, oh, well, what really had got to me was the first 5 minutes of the documentary opener, because my God, his daughter was just this annoying little peasant. And I mean, he pretty much just let it roll off his tongue that way. And, the guys, they tried to get on him instantly, like, hey, man, like, and they realized that, like, oh my God, this guy's kind of like messing with our bread and butter. Now, understand something. Patriots, they had just inked out an extension with WEI. And they got this exclusive deal where Belichick, Brady, they're coming on to this show every week. And it's like they're the only radio station, if I'm not mistaken, in Boston that's getting this sweet freaking deal, right? And to hear Tom Brady come on Monday, cut that conversation very short, talk about how, hey, over the years, I've tried to be a professional. I've tried to bring it to you guys whenever I do the show. And, for my daughter to be disrespected like this, for any kid to be disrespected like this, like, it's uncalled for, it's unprofessional. And, for him to say, I'm going to think about whether or not I want to continue with this relationship. Yeah. And this Adam dude has been suspended indefinitely. I am fine for it. I loved how Brady had followed up. What was it, yesterday? Or was it earlier today? Yeah, it was still Tuesday. So earlier today, or maybe it was, yeah, I want to say it was earlier today. He basically was like, hey, I don't want the guy to be fired. The fact that he was suspended, I think that should suffice. But I never want to see somebody have their career or whatever taken away. That was pretty classy for Brady to say. Now, some people are like, well, Tom put himself in this situation because he's doing this documentary. His kids are part of it. They really have like no idea what the hell is going on. And like, as a result, he has exposed them to the type of ridicule, to the type of criticism, like what this Alex dude had put out there. But yeah, he's opening up a whole new world because he's always been a private man. And now he's coming out here like this. And I agree. I agree that, for me, that's the one thing I don't really understand about celebrities. It's one thing if your kids are 9 and up, then it's kind of like, okay, so like, hey kids, here's this thing. Would you all really feel comfortable with it? Because this is what's going to be happening. But for like a 5-year-old kid, It's like that's not really fair to them. They're going to be in the spotlight as it is when they get older, especially if it's a situation where they decide they want to go into sports. They're always going to be under that microscope because it's going to be like, oh, well, does that kid have their father's gene? That sports work ethic gene. Do they have that? Will they be successful like their old man, but just they're in tennis or they're in boxing or whatever? Are they gonna have that gene that Brady has or whatever? So for me, you always have to double down on your mentality when considering whether or not you want to have kids under 10 be part of some type of filming documentary, some type of a reality series, because that's exposing them and giving them unnecessary attention that they honestly should not be getting. So yes, I do agree that Tom put himself in that position. Yet at the same time, anybody that's in broadcasting and radio will tell you this: when you have some type of a deal ironed out where, hey, I'm paying X amount of money to have this guest on my show every single week, and we're going to talk about this particular topic or whatever. You hear how a lot of these go down in radio land, where you have a sports athlete that appears once a week or whatever. It's not no, oh, how was the recital with your daughter? How was, no, like, these players, they come on there, it is all about, hey, that was a fantastic game that you guys had played over the weekend. You guys had won. It was blah, 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 the blah, blah, blah. What do you think the keys to success were in picking up the victory? Oh, hey, you guys got the trading deadline coming up. Is there any intel you can provide to the listeners? Like, a lot of people are thinking that maybe blah, blah, blah is going to be cut from the team. Some feel that this player would be a great addition to your roster. That type of talk. That's what goes down. It's all about business, is where I'm getting at. So to make it be personal like that, where a little kid is being attacked, not cool. It's just not cool. And you can't convince me otherwise. I mean, if it was your kid that was being called that, you'd be like, hey, now that's my kid. Only I can call them that, right? So yeah, it's kind of sad when that all had went down. Speaking of football, Super Bowl picks, I gotta say, man, I kind of want to root really bad for the underdogs, the Eagles, man. But as a great of a season as it has been, I really love how Nick Foles has been stepping it up. I think Belichick, Brady are going to ride into the sunset, and they're going to get themselves another championship. Honestly, I think it's probably going to be, oh, it's probably going to be 40. Nah, I'm going to say, I'm going to say 35-27 Patriots. 35-27. It's going to be Patriots. As far as who might be the key players, I don't know. That maybe, I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I'd have to think about that a little bit more. But yeah, I'm thinking 35-27 Patriots. All right, let's get into some other headlines that we can talk about before we wrap it up. How much time we got here? Let me just check out how we're doing so far. All right, so we're at about an hour and 40 minutes. So we're doing pretty good so far on Showtime. Let me just real quickly, guys, let me just take a look at how many more topics I had wanted to get into tonight. And sadly, guys, I'm kind of under the impression that one topic I want to get into with regards to Enzo, I might have to hold off on that one. Let me see. Yes, rest in peace, Kane. We saw that last man standing match between Kane and Braun Strowman. Yeah, nothing says screaming ratings increase than freaking 50-plus-year-old Kane coming out. I am just, Lord knows, there was a time, there was an era where I loved me some Kane. There was a time, there was a place where Kane was just, my God, this guy is so mysterious. This guy is so cool. Like, for me, the mystique, for me personally, I don't know how it is for everybody else, but for me, the mystique of Kane, the mystery, the lore, whatever I found that was attractive, and I don't mean in a, oh, that's a good looking, I don't mean that way. Just the presentation, the attractiveness of it. Whatever interest I had in Kane all just went away on one infamous night. It was an episode of Monday Night Raw, and I think Triple H might have been part of Evolution or whatever, and he put this stipulation out there to Kane where he basically had said, "You and me will have a match. If I win, you got to take off that mask," or something to that effect, from what I remember. And I kind of want to say maybe Rob Van Dam was tagging with Kane. I'm going way back. I mean, I am dusting cobwebs off like in my brain right now. So if any of this information is wrong, I apologize in advance. Should I be watching the WWE network to refresh my mind a little bit more? My goal in 2018 is to do so. But let me cut to the chase. I remember when Kane lost the match, and it's like, oh man, we're actually going to see Kane unmask. And I didn't want to see it. I did not want to see it because I know everybody was like, oh, but it's Isaac Yankem. Well, for me, given the fact that, like, at that point, and you got to remember how social media was back then. It wasn't like how it is now. And it's like, hey, Kane's eating at a Red Lobster, or hey, caught Kane getting out of his limo. He's going in the arena. Here's how he looks without his mask. Back then, we didn't have Twitter, and our phones didn't have all these cool camera capabilities and all that. Back then, you took a freaking picture and it was freaking grainy as hell, man. I mean, it looked like don't tell a girl, hey, can you send me a picture of your boobs, honey? You're getting kind of lonely and cold over here. And you get like this big old blur blob staring right at you when you get the picture back. It's not as pretty and high definition now, man. Technology was so different back then. You didn't have all this stuff that we got right now. It's like 24/7. It's like, hey, there's this person. That's the beautiful thing about the technology that we have now. You can be where you are right now and know what's going on with a celebrity or whatever from whatever country they're in. Like, all the information is coming right to your door. Like, that's how so crazy and advanced that technology is now. But for me, it was like, no, I don't want to see Kane unmasked. I don't want to see Kane unmasked. And he was unmasked. And I was like, damn, that's one ugly looking mother. Yeah, I kind of went the Predator joint. And then afterwards, it was, damn. So now what? As young as I was back then, I was like, okay, now what? And unmasked Kane was kind of cool for a little bit, for a hot second. But, after that, it was like, okay, that fizzled out. For me, it fizzled out. The last time I gave a hoot about Kane, Daniel Bryan. And shout out to Zolo. He's like, you're telling the truth, Lee. It was RVD, his tag partner. The video is on YouTube, WWE page. 95% of the WWE network is on YouTube and Daily Motion. Okay. I'm glad I remembered it right. Yeah, I thought so, because now I wanted to say it, but I wasn't really sure. I remember RVD kind of like calming down Kane, and he basically was like, it's okay, man. It's not that bad. It's not that bad, man. It's okay. It's all right. We'll get through this together. You're not as ugly as you think. And it's kind of like, well, Rob, you haven't seen how Kane looks under that thing, man. Like, and I remember when Kane took the mask off, Rob Van Dam just had like this, he just like literally pissed his pants type of look, and Kane fucked him up. I mean, he just kirked. I remember that. And it was an awesome moment. It was an awesome freaking moment. But after Kane, took off the mask, for me, it was like, all right, he's gonna fizzle out. The one thing that I felt was working in his favor was he always had that mask. And without that mask, once you remove that mask, he's just like everybody else. And Undertaker been able to reincarnate himself time and time and time and time again. But Kane has just been the same. Like, the last time I gave a damn about Kane was when he teamed with Daniel Bryan. And then before that, wasn't there like 3 straight pay-per-views or something like that where Kane had beat the Undertaker? I'm talking about like during that period where I want to say maybe Undertaker was the world heavyweight champion, maybe like one last time or something like that. And he was feuding with Kane on SmackDown. And I want to say like they went at it. I know for a fact they went at it twice. And Kane had like beat him twice. And you're going, damn. Kane was really good. Was really, really good at that point. The way that they had booked him that back then, he was really good. But like, Yes, thank you, Austin. Yeah, 2010 Kane. Yeah. There was like at least 2 consecutive pay-per-views, maybe 3, where Kane beat Undertaker. And you're going, damn, he's owning this dude. Like, it was good. It was good the way that they booked Kane. The Daniel Bryan thing, that was it. Everything else, look, don't get it twisted. I appreciate everything that Kane has done for the sport of professional wrestling. Kane has got to be one of those type of guys, knock on wood, he has not had a significant injury where like, okay, Kane's out for a year. And you would suspect something like that because, he's a big guy after all. But like, knock on wood, like his style of wrestling, he's been able to stay pretty healthy, relatively. Always very reliable, good, steady hand. Model employee. Definitely, if you are starting up a wrestling promotion, that's the type of guy, that DNA, that's the type of guy that you want. But I tell you, man, like what we've been getting with Kane, like the past 3-4 years, man, it's like, meh, it's nothing. It's nothing. It's like, bring in some new talent. All these young guys that's at the performance center, let's bring them up already, man. Let's get them moving around. So, for me, hopefully, honestly, I'm hoping that that's it for Kane. I'm tired of seeing Kane on my TV. I don't want to see him anymore. Glenn Jacobs, please focus on politics and, stay away, man. Just please stay away. Like, I don't want to see that again. I just don't. It's just, the guy is just 5 years, honestly, 10 years past the expiration date. Let's move on already. Like, seriously. I mean, if you're going to continue to give us Kane, I think it's fair to say, hey, if you're going to continue to give us this flavor, can you at least put it in a different serving glass? Can you at least maybe give us a straw? Like, do you have to just keep giving it to us in the same green plastic cup? Can we get a new cup? Can we get a new cup with some new designs? And I don't know, maybe it has a straw in it, and I don't know, maybe you put like one of those cold, warmer type of, it's like a ovens to keep your drink cold. Like maybe you could put it in that. Like, can you jazz it up? Basically, is what the hell I'm saying. Can you try to put a little bit more emphasis in it? Now, some of you will say, "Oh, but Lee, Kane had a new ring attire this past Monday." Oh yeah, that's great. So now the flame goes up one leg and it crosses over his stomach and goes to his chest. Yeah, it goes from the left leg and it works its way to the right side of the body. That's great. Yeah. Get that out of here, man. Ain't nobody got time for that. Get that out of here. All right. What else can we talk about here on the show? Ronda Rousey. So look, my expectations for this woman now that she's in the WWE, sky's the limit, man. I think she's going to have a really good career in the WWE. The question was asked by, I want to say Freddie, and shout out to Freddie. What do I make of the comments that ESPN Stephen A. Smith has said, basically saying Ronda Rousey's career is over? Like as far as an MMA career and all that, like it's over, it's dead because she hooked up with the WWE. Some people, you'd be surprised. There are actually some people that will look at a fighter, basketball star, football star. They look at whenever they make the transition into being a professional wrestler, they frown upon it because their whole thing is, hey, why are you going over there and you're doing that fake shit? Like that's not a real sport. Like what the hell? And you know what? With regards to Ronda Rousey, who's always been a big wrestling fan, I think a lot of us that have followed the sport of professional wrestling and equally have followed MMA, there's certain guys and women that we look at and we say, you know what? In a different universe, they would be perfect for the wrestling world. We've looked at Conor McGregor like that. We have looked at definitely Ronda Rousey like that to a degree. We looked at Mike Tyson like that. We've looked at Floyd Money Mayweather like that. We've looked at the Dennis Rodmans like that. There are so many sports athletes over the years that we've looked at and been like, wow, they would actually be pretty damn good in the wrestling world. And, for me, I feel in my heart of hearts, this is kind of similar to that of Brock Lesnar, basically. Remember how Brock Lesnar started off, NCAA champion, great amateur wrestling background, who decides, okay, you know what? I want to try my hand in professional wrestling / entertainment. And great matches that he was giving us that first run during the WWE. But then once he reached the top, once he reached the pinnacle, it was like, okay, I need new challenges. Like, this really isn't fun anymore. I kind of feel like a caged animal that's being let out in various cities. I'm tired of being on the road all the damn time, missing out on life. I'm not really feeling this. I'm just a country boy. We see him walk away and he decides, okay, you know what? I want to go into playing football. Nobody frowned upon when Brock left. Well, the wrestling fans did, but you had true fans of Lesnar, and I was one of those guys. Okay, he's going to try his hand in football. He would do well if given the opportunity. Then we saw him try to get back into wrestling, and didn't he do that thing in New Japan? Then he tried MMA. Great success in the UFC. Probably could have went a lot longer if it wasn't for that illness that he has sustained. He probably could have went a lot longer. When I look at Ronda Rousey and I think about her upbringings, I think about where she is now. I feel in my heart of hearts that she's not throwing her life away. The girl is, of all the decisions that she could make, hey, do I want to continue to take a pounding in the face and, risk being severely injured, or do I want to try to make that transition into other avenues, maybe get into some acting, do some movies, maybe do some TV spots? Hey, I've always kind of wanted to get into this whole wrestling world. It's a win-win situation. I think what's really going to be key is how she is booked in the WWE. I know some people are kind of looking at the situation and saying, man, if there was ever a time for a real Paul Heyman girl, like Ronda would be it. Like, why not pair her up with Paul Heyman? And I would love to see that happen. I really, really would. I mean, because think about it. Think about it. When Paul's not there, or actually, let's back up a second. When Lesnar is not there, there's no Paul. Wouldn't it be a little bit better to be in a situation where, okay, for those times when you don't have Lesnar, well, hey, you've got access to Ronda. I think everything's going to really depend, though, on what's going to happen with these negotiations. Because honestly, I feel as though if Lesnar sticks around, Paul for sure is going to stick around. And if Paul's going to be sticking around, I think it only serves right that you somehow get those two hooked up. I think that would be really good. But I think Ronda is, and I'm just going with my gut instincts. Ronda cannot go wrong hooking up with the WWE. I mean, first of all, money wise, she is still a marquee name. She still brings value. You've always had MMA fans and wrestling fans mix it up. It's gone so well over the years. The whole thing with CM Punk, very evident of that. She's gonna draw. She's gonna draw very well for the WWE. I mean, my God, her merchandise had sold out as soon as the Rowdy Ronda Rousey shirts went live. It freaking sold out. So that tells you right there that okay, homegirl can definitely sell some freaking merch, right? So you look at the current landscape of the women that's in the WWE, the women's division. I mean, there's going to be some really great classic matchups off the break. I mean, really great matches that you'd be able to do with her. Nothing but good can happen. And then here's the thing. Even if it's a situation where she has signed some type of a multi-year deal with the WWE, which I hope she did not. I hope honestly she just did a situation where it's like, okay, you know what? I'll sign on for 1 year. I really hope that's what she did. I hope it's not a situation where she signed on for like 3 years or more. I'm hoping that it's a situation where she just signed a 1 year deal because you'd be able to get a really good feel. You'd be able to get a really good impression booking wise, creative wise, what WWE is doing with you. And I hope that the language in these contracts for her, the way that it was set up, that she does have a little bit of not only creative control, but that maybe she has a little bit of say, not a controlling vote, mind you. I want to make sure I'm choosing the right choice of words, but I hope that it's a situation where like she has some type of booking say in how she's booked in her matches, even if it's a situation where okay, you need to lose. I hope that she has some type of creative input in that. So honestly, Worst case scenario, if she's not feeling what's going on with her in the WWE, she can easily just be like, okay, you know what? This really isn't working. I want to go on ahead and I want to try other things. So, I think no, and who are we to judge? I mean, I was just telling my girl this literally the other day. She's been, she started this new job a couple of weeks ago, and she really loves it. She doesn't have to drive that far. It's only like a 5-minute freaking drive, and just boom, she's right there. And she feels as though all this new stuff that she has to learn, it's overwhelming. Her boss can sometimes act like a dick. And the boss told her straight up, said, look, sometimes I can act like a bitch. The boss said that straight up, woman to woman. It's like, sometimes I can act like a bitch. And it's just been kind of getting to her. It's been kind of making her crack a little bit. And I told my girl straight up, I said, you know what, hun, at the end of the day, it is all about the pursuit of happiness. You got to do whatever makes you happy. And if what you're doing right now, you know, if you like what you're doing, you're going to do everything in your power to make it work. And those in personnel that are making you feel negatively a certain way, you have to confront that, and you've got to challenge it. You got to do what you can to speak your piece. And maybe then, after you've spoken your piece, if things are still the way that it is, then you know what? You just got to follow your heart. You got to follow the pursuit of happiness. Don't worry about what, other people are saying. You know, you can get all the advice that you want from friends and family, but at the end of the day, this is your life that you have to live. You need to pursue your happiness. Do what makes you feel good. And with Rhonda, honestly, the vibe that I've been getting from her the past couple of years, she's been kind of like in a little bit of purgatory. She's been kind of like, okay, I got this thing over here with MMA, but like, I don't want to just continue to do this. My heart just really isn't into this anymore. My mind isn't into this anymore. We all could say, oh, she's a great fighter, blah, blah, this, blah, that. Oh, she was, but that's the thing. When your heart is no longer into something, it's time to go. And you need to switch it up, because if you don't switch it up, because you're not going at it at 120% anymore, you're half-assing it. That's how you become reckless, sadly. And when you become reckless, eh, bad things just happen all the way around. So for Rhonda to basically try to get herself in a position of, okay, you know what? I need to try to get back to basics. I need to try to take care of me. I need to try to do what'll make me happy, what'll get me good mentally, spiritually. Yeah, I'm all fine for that, man. I'm totally all fine for that. So hopefully she's able to find that happiness. It's led her to the WWE. I'm curious to see what's happening. I mean, she comes off like a very smart woman that has saved her money over the years, and now is just really doing like what she wants to do, and for however long she wants to do it at that. So we'll see how that plays out. So some other stuff that had went down that I thought was very, very interesting. There was a pretty candid interview that Dave Batista had gave to the Edge and Christian podcast recently. And I tell you, great stuff. Great stuff. I listened to the audio of it, and I couldn't help but go, wow, this is really great. I definitely had enjoyed reading the transcript of it as well. And just a couple of key points. Now, you've kind of heard this mentioned over the years, but Batista kind of went a little bit more into detail working with Edge and Christian. And it was a great range of topics that were covered too, mind you. And one of the things that he had talked about was how he was arguing with the WWE officials and regrets about coming back in WWE pretty much in piss poor shape. And he said, and I quote, "Man, if I could do that whole run over, I know I probably wouldn't be able to make much difference, but I wish it didn't happen. It was just bad all the way around. I argued every day with writers and Vince and everything because from the first day, I just didn't like the way things were going. There's nothing else I could have done. I tried everything I could. And the only thing I really regret about the whole run, and it sounds really awful, but I just didn't put a whole lot of effort into getting back in better shape. And now, when I see pictures of myself from then, I know the fans expect a certain look from me, and I didn't give it to them. And I kind of realized it sounds really stupid, but I wish I put more effort into the shape that I was in because I didn't. I just wanted to go back and wrestle. I wasn't so concerned about being the animal and looking that way." Now, he also had chimed off on what he felt were fans cheating themselves when they would attend WWE events. As far as like, what the hell is up with that chant? That doesn't make any sense. So here's what he said. That whole run in particular was just, I mean, it even started with an uphill battle. But the thing that really frustrated me and confused me was just the crowd, man. I didn't get it. They were just so focused on what wasn't there in front of them that they lost sight of what was there in front of them. I mean, no matter what was going on, and not even just with my matches, but with a lot of other matches, it was Daniel Bryan chanting, "Yes, yes, yes," and CM Punk chants. And I'm like, you're really missing some really good wrestling here. This is like good stuff, man. And he would go on to call the WWE unfocused, saying, "I felt they were the most unfocused group of fans I ever encountered. And it was just really, really confusing to me because I couldn't even understand why they're there. Why are they paying their money to come watch a show that they're not even watching? It just baffled me." Yeah. And whew, I mean, you want me to keep going? I mean, my God, I'll mention the whole Punk thing just to go on record here. I love Punk. I've always gotten along with Punk, and I had to hear from people that he left because I came back. Where the hell did that come from? And I've said I wasn't crazy about the way he left because that's not the way we did business. We just don't do that, especially when you've got guys, and Brock did it way back in the day as well. You've got a million guys lined up to put this guy over, and then he just leaves, doesn't give anything back, doesn't build any stars to fill those spots. And that's the way we do business. That's the way we've always done business. And I just can't respect when people lose sight of that. And again, it's not a knock on Punk because I think very highly of him. I just don't agree with the way he left. And the fans definitely, with that kind of stuff, when he's not there and people are still chanting his name, it just confuses me. And I get they don't have that same type of insight, but at the same time, I just can't relate. Yeah. So let's dissect some of what he had said there. I mean, those were pretty much the main takeaways from the interview, but let's tackle a couple of his points. I mean, if you ask me honestly, I remember seeing those January vignettes of Batista getting ready to come back to the WWE, and you're like, oh man, this is great. This is exciting, right? And I wasn't following Batista as much on social media at that point. I really, really wasn't. And this was like right before Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 1. was getting ready to drop. And I'm like, all right, Batista's coming back. Oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. But I also remembered seeing him in his one and only MMA fight. And I'm kind of going, I wonder which Batista are we going to be getting? Are we going to get classic, big, hulking, muscular Dave Batista, or are we gonna maybe get the MMA kind of small frame Dave Batista? Which one are we gonna get that's gonna show up? And sure enough, we got a really good Batista that was in pretty damn good shape, but he was pretty damn small. He did not look anything like the Animal. Sadly, he did not look like that. And for me, it was pretty disappointing. I must admit, it was definitely disappointing. And it kind of made me there we go. And it kind of made me go, okay, what the hell? Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted because I am taking a look over in Facebook right now. Shout out to Will. I'll get to that question in a hot second for you, man. But no, like then when we saw Batista pop up, I'm kind of going, damn, that's not the Animal. That's not the Dave Batista that I remember. And granted, it's like, okay, well, what do you expect, man? He's kind of getting up there in age. And especially after you watch that Goldberg 24/7 special, you're kind of going, this is kind of tough. Like, you see what's going on with Goldberg. You're like, shh. So just imagine how difficult it must be for a guy like Dave Batista. It could be pretty physically demanding. So, for me, I put that to the side. I say, you know what? This is Batista. This is the Animal. This is the man. Like, let's see what we got. I didn't like the run. I did not like the run whatsoever. I definitely did not like hearing the yes chants. There were some really decent matches that Batista was in, and the fans just could not get behind it. And I tell you what was the other thing that had really hurt a lot, and that's the fact that when Batista had came in, Daniel Bryan was just so white hot at the time, and people just wanted to ride that bad boy out. And when they kind of got the idea that, oh man, Dave Batista is probably going to be winning the Royal Rumble or something like this, oh no, man, like this ain't cool. We don't want this crap. What the hell? I always said way back when, after the fact, like fresh after the fact, I always said that they should have saved Dave Batista for the night after WrestleMania. I had always said that. But you know what? What's past is past. I still believe in my heart of hearts that Dave Batista will be back in the WWE, but I think this go round, given how much of amplify his career has been able to take with a string of good movies. You know what I'm saying? He was in the latest Blade Runner. Didn't he also have a role in one of the James Bond movies? Last one that maybe had came out. I could be mistaken. Um, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He's going to be involved in Avengers, the Infinity War. I mean, the guy is just money right now. His like, I'm telling you, his stock is like going up significantly. Significantly. How much so? Like, I'll give you a perfect example. You go on the Awesome Con website right now, and there is a VIP Batista package. And the Batista package, it guarantees you one autograph signing with Big Dave and one guaranteed photo op as well. And aside from that, you get a guaranteed seat at his Q&A that's going to be happening, to be determined. I think you get priority, like when you're in the line and you're trying to get your photo up, autograph, and all that, right? And all that. Take a guess at how much that costs, right? $300. $300. That's how much it costs. So you're going, wow. And when you look at like all the people that's gonna be there, he's like he's like one of like the top, I'll say, if not three, for sure five. That's like, wow, that's pretty freaking commanding. And right now, it's the Dave Batista VIP package. So if maybe you don't want that VIP package, you just want to maybe get like a photo op in and you want to get an autograph signing, you got to wait a couple of more weeks just to see those uh, become individually available, right? But the guy's come a long way. I still remember an infamous interview he had gave some years back where he basically had said he was like at the red carpet somewhere for the premiere of Guardians of the Galaxy, and he had saw a reporter and was like, "Oh, hey, if you need somebody to interview, I can help you out. What's up?" And the reporter has said to him, "Oh, no, I'm actually waiting on, the real stars." And Batista was a little bit hurt by that, and he was kind of like, okay, whatever. And then like you fast forward to like now, and he's a hot freaking commodity. Like everybody wants him. And honestly, I think in hindsight, WWE, I think they know they did him wrong, especially when they kind of felt as though his career ain't really gonna go anywhere. Let him go try that whole movie thing. And I still remember that smug ass promo that Triple H had cut telling Batista, well, go ahead, go run back to Hollywood, make your little movies. And it was kind of like, oh, okay. Okay. Kind of comes off very dickish. All right. How you really feel, Sometimes you just kind of get that vibe of like, okay, either that was a really good promo or like that cat really meant that. And it was just the latter. That's how it really came off. But I'm quite sure they're kicking themselves in the ass going, man, if we knew how big of a success that Guardians was going to be and how it would catapult Batista. Yeah, I'm quite sure that they would have done things a lot differently by this man. But I still am very adamant that there will be a time, there will be a place. He'll definitely be back in the WWE. I think it's going to be on his respected terms, though. I definitely feel that when he does go back, they're going to sit down and they're really going to do their best to take in his input. Batista has the vision. He has the drive. He knows exactly where they need to go. He has that blueprint. And honestly, I think they owe it to him to make sure that they do their best to stick to that blueprint. I get where he's coming from with the whole CM Punk chants and all that. And sometimes it just amazes me. I mean, I've talked about it on the show before. I don't want to go into the whole long spiel, but I tell you, it does amaze me still that we have fans that are continuing to chant for CM Punk. And honestly, my prediction, if this whole Cody Rhodes event that he's trying to do for like 10,000 people, if he is able to get a hold of CM Punk, I feel in my heart of hearts that will make the CM Punk chants die down, like completely. I think just the fact that CM Punk is finally working in pro wrestling again, but he's not doing it for the WWE. He's not doing it for Impact Wrestling. He's basically doing it for people he definitely respects and people that he considers friends slash family. Kind of like a big FU to all the other promotions, even New Japan to a degree, even though they didn't do anything to him. I think then and only then will it be a situation where maybe completely the CM Punk chants, they'll stop. Um, but I see where Batista is coming from. I mean, is it kind of sad that some of the fans that come to these shows paying really good money, mind you, for these seats, is it kind of like, wow, what the hell? You pay good hard camera seats and you're chanting CM Punk. You're playing with a beach ball, and I'm sorry, but if I'm paying all that good money, I'm definitely trying to go there to have a good time, but I want to go there to cheer. I want to go there to boo the talent. I want to interact as best as I can, and I see his point of view from the entertainment performing standpoint. I definitely see and understand what he's talking about. And it's just one of those things where, honestly, as time has progressed, the fans have really changed a lot. Now the fans feel as though they need to be part of the show. And they are, but to a certain degree. Again, it comes back to the boos, it comes back to the cheers. But as far as hijacking the show, perfect example. Perfect example. I'll say this and we'll move along. Perfect example, the John Cena Finn Balor match. Great match. And look, we all can be in agreement. Finn Balor, after a great, strong performance that he had at the Rumble, he really should have gotten the win. And I don't understand why Elias didn't come out and try to screw John Cena. I really don't understand that, especially when he made reference to Cena during his little acoustic set. I don't get that. Whatever. But after the dominating, good, strong effort that Finn Balor had at the Rumble, it just kind of seemed like, okay, Finn Balor took 2 steps forward, but then you fast forward 24 hours later to Raw, and the 2 steps forward he made, you now got to take 2 steps back because he lost to Cena. We can be in agreement. Finn Balor definitely should have had that. And y'all remember at one point where everybody was cheering and looking in another direction? Like, everybody. You look at the hard camera, everybody's not even looking at the match. They're looking in another direction. Pretty much safe to say that there was a beach ball that was in play. And I guess when security had got that beach ball, they all started chanting asshole. And you're going, oh, that's just lovely. That's just freaking lovely. It's stuff like that that just kind of make you go, damn. You guys are supposed to be focused on the in-ring action. So to Dave Batista's point, you look at what we got on Monday night. That was actually a really damn good match. But sadly, with the fans reacting the way that they're reacting, and it's kind of like shaking up the wrestlers in the ring because they're trying to do the best that they can to put on a really good, entertaining show. But you got all this other silly crap that's going on now. Yeah, I totally, as far as unfocused fans, I totally see and I respect where Dave Batista is coming from. It's always been an issue for me these past couple of years. But I don't think it's going to stop. I mean, it's gotten right down to the point now. You can watch a football game or you can watch a basketball game and you're getting chants of the fans are dominating. They feel like they need to be part of the event. They kind of feel like they need to be able to dictate the pace. They feel like they need to be able to dictate, certain calls, all that. So, great interview though. I definitely recommend it. If you guys didn't get a chance to check it out, do check it out when you all get the opportunity. Great stuff. All right. So other than that, one other thing I want to talk about. I'm gonna make this quick. I can get through this real quick. So Vince McMahon makes this announcement through his Alpha Entertainment company about the XFL getting ready to make a comeback, right? And sadly, what should really be great news for a lot of people, or at least have people giving mixed reactions. They're definitely talking about the XFL coming back in 2020, right? You have a couple of knuckleheads, and I'm not even going to give them press by mentioning their names, but you had a couple of websites that decided, oh, you know what? Let's talk about the so called sexual assault that Vince McMahon had did going back to 2006. All right. Now, some of these goddamn reporters, they basically talk about the whole, oh, well, in light of the Me Too movement and all this other fucking shit. And it's like, wait a minute, man. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. We're going to go there. We're going to go there. You've got wrestling sites that decide, okay, you know what? I want to go on ahead and I want to make my own news. I want to get people talking. I want to get the clickbait, all that other stuff. So, what do some of these sites do? And these were reputable sites. Rather than talk about the XFL, they decide, hey, 2006, Vince McMahon, he was accused of sexually assaulting a woman. Everybody remembers this. Okay, but for those that don't, basically, you had a Boca Raton. Yeah, Boca Raton. It was a tanning salon that Vince McMahon had went to. And the person that was hooking him up, she was like 22 years of age. And McMahon basically, according to this woman, she accused McMahon of trying to kiss her, trying to grope her, and allegedly he tried to show this woman some nude pics. Nude pics of him and his great physique, pics of his member, things of that nature. At that point, he was 60 years of age. She had told him, hey, you know, you got to stop this. Like, this ain't cool. I'm not feeling this. You need to stop. Afterwards, this woman had said that Vince had attempted to kiss her, but she like managed to like force him away and all that. McMahon, his team, his lawyer, they're like, nothing happened. Like, what do you know? None of that had happened. Now, you have an official document that says that there was probable cause to believe that McMahon actually and initially touched the woman against her will. But this case, it eventually it fizzled out because according to Florida state prosecutors and all that, they're like, a lot of this stuff, you know, what she's saying and all that is not adding up. And sadly, there's not enough sufficient evidence. So Vince McMahon, you know, he never was charged or anything like that. Basically, it was, hey, McMahon, he's like, oh, you're good. You know, it's like there's not enough sufficient evidence here. Like, we're just going to let this go. We're not going to even pursue this any further. Like, that's it. We're done. Not too many of the sites that I had saw out there had really stressed this. Instead, they just wanted to go, oh, hey, 2006. Now, look, I'm not sticking up for Vince McMahon in any type of way. In any type of way. Okay. There may be merit to the incident that is in question. But this is what I don't understand. And it just comes off so unprofessional. So Vince McMahon announces that the XFL is going to be returning. And rather than some of these reputable sites use it as an opportunity to remind folks, hey, the XFL, it started off really good. It had got like 10.5 million viewers the first week, and then it just fizzled out over the course of several other weeks. And then eventually it was canceled. It just flopped after one season. Rather than make fun poking holes at all the things that made the XFL bad as the weeks had progressed and why it probably will not succeed this go round. No, no. Some of these sites decided, oh, we're going to bring up this thing from 2006. And it just came off very unprofessional. It came off very tacky. It came off as a desperate cry for trying to get clickbaits for their respected sites. I'm just calling it how I see it. You all may disagree with me on that one, but it just really came off truly uh, unprofessional. It just came off like a clickbait gotcha. And it didn't sit well with me. I didn't like it whatsoever. Again, I'm not sticking up for Vince in any type of way. It's just one of those type of deals where, okay, you're bringing up something that's 12. Yeah, you're bringing up something that's 12 years old. Yeah. All the other stuff that's going on currently. And for some of these sites that were trying to hide behind the whole bullshit Me Too movement, I see right through you. Like I said, nothing but clickbait. And hey, sadly, you got some people that legitimately they just don't like the WWE. And any opportunity they have to bring up something negative that had came about in headlines, no matter how long ago it was, sadly, some people are just going to be like, okay, hey, let's go there. Let's go there. If it'll get us clicks, and it'll get other sites talking, let's go there. And sadly, that was the case. Like all it took was like one site to bring the incident in question from 2006 back up. And now it's spread it like wildfire. You know what I'm saying, guys? So it's like, it sucks, man. It sucks. All right. So other than that, there was only one other topic I had wanted to get into. And sadly, I cannot get into it because I don't have the documents in front of me. It's in the other room. And the last thing I want to do, see, if it was just the audio version, not a problem. But we are also doing the web stream as well. And I don't want to just leave the folks hanging during the web stream while I go in the other room and grab the documents. I'm just not doing that. But what I will do for you guys, there is going to be a bonus clip that I'm going to be doing. We'll actually upload that on YouTube. And it is, let me take a look here. Bear with me a second here, guys. We are going to do. Bear with me a second here, guys. Sorry about that. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. I'm going to upload a bonus clip on YouTube. We're going to talk about Enzo Amore because one of the questions that's coming about right now is, hey, was WWE within their right to do what they did to Enzo Amore? And the short answer is yes. And I'll explain in great detail when I join you guys. I'll actually come on YouTube and we'll dive into it on Wednesday. So I'll come at you guys Wednesday evening and we'll dive into it. Let's say 7 p.m. Wednesday night. You know what? No, let's say 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be live on YouTube. And that's the only topic that we'll talk about. And you guys will definitely appreciate what I have to say with regards to that. So with regards to our Facebook stream, we're going to go on ahead and we're going to say goodbye to our Facebook audience. Thank you guys for tuning in. And YouTube, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys until I catch you all for Wednesday. Hey, make sure you leave those thumbs up, the likes, all that good stuff, and make sure you subscribe as well. YouTube, good night, good morning. We'll do this again for you guys in just a little bit.